Hello, I am Louis Anemone, the retired Chief of Department from the New York City Police Department. From January 1994 until July of 1999, I had the honor of leading New York and our country's finest police department, the NYPD. In our 24/7 relentless and incredibly successful fight against violent crime, the successes achieved in New York City are now the stuff of legend. What sometimes is forgotten is the price that was paid for those crime reductions, a price paid not only by the public, but by the men and women of the NYPD. The path to a safer New York City was paved with the blood of the true heroes of the NYPD. I have the honor today to introduce and to announce my support and endorsement of a true NYPD hero, Andy DeStefano, a man I met for the first time in the emergency room of Columbia Presbyterian Hospital after he was shot while performing foot patrol in New York's Washington Heights. I am as proud of him today as I was back then. Andy, a man who runs toward danger, not away from it, returning to work and earning himself a series of promotions that gave him the opportunity to demonstrate not only his courage again, but his integrity, his judgment, and his leadership skills in a series of increasingly challenging assignments at the NYPD. You will hear from Andy directly, and no doubt you will recognize, as I did, that Andy, like many others, can talk the talk. But I'm here today because I know that unlike so many others, Andy walks the walk. Andy, as Putnam County Sheriff, will provide the public the highest quality of service by being visible, by being accessible, and by communicating to the public. Andy will provide inspiring, dynamic leadership to all the members of the Putnam County Sheriff's Department. He will also provide the highest level of safety for both deputies and inmates at the Putnam County Jail. It is now my honor and my pleasure to introduce to you Andy DeStefano.
Chief, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. I'm Andy DeStefano, Captain, New York City Police Department, retired. And I'm here today to ask the taxpayers of Putnam County to hire me as the next sheriff. Before I do that, though, I would like you to meet my family. With me today, I have my lovely wife, Jalissa, and our beautiful daughter, Patricia. Patricia is 6 years old. She's a first grader at Matthew Patterson Elementary School. Please notice I'm using the word hire and not the word elect, and I'm doing that for two reasons. The first reason being, I'm a police officer. I'm a cop. I'm not a politician. The people of this county deserve to have a working sheriff, not a political sheriff. A sheriff who spends 100% of his time working as the Putnam County Sheriff. A sheriff who can draw from his experience of having been a street cop, a beat officer, a narcotics investigator, a community policing sergeant, a special ops lieutenant, a counterterrorism lieutenant, and ultimately a captain of a New York City police precinct. The second reason why I'm using the word hire is because that's exactly what this is today. This is a hiring process. I'm an applicant for a job. I'm applying for a job here. The taxpayer is the employer. Now, who is the employer supposed to hire? Do they hire the person with the biggest billboard? The person who sends out the most mailing? No, they're going to hire the most qualified person, the person with the most relevant police experience. Now, whenever a supervisor in the New York City Police Department takes over a unit, he takes a good hard look at that unit to determine where the deficiencies lie. And I've done that to an extent with the Sheriff's Department. There's a lot of work to do. There's a number of issues I'm going to touch on today. I'm not going to go into great detail today. I will be doing some presentations in the future. And the first thing I'm going to talk about today is crime. As the chief said, the New York City Police Department leads the entire world in crime reduction. We enjoyed almost 80% crime reductions in most of our categories. And we did that through the use of our crime control model. Our crime control model in the city is called CompStat. I know CompStat. I worked with CompStat for many years. I learned it from the guy who invented it. If you hire me for this job, I'm going to take CompStat, I'm going to bring it into the Sheriff's Department. We're going to cut crime the same way we did in New York City. Vehicle accidents. Most people are aware of the great job the NYPD accomplished relative to crime. But what they may not be aware of, we had the same success fighting vehicle accidents. Our traffic control model in the New York City Police Department is called TrafficStat. With TrafficStat, we were able to lower traffic accidents by almost 40%. In addition, we were able to lower injuries from those accidents. If you hire me as your sheriff, I'm going to take TrafficStat, I'm going to bring it to the Sheriff's Department, and we're going to lower those car accidents, we're going to lower injuries the same way we did in the city. Traffic congestion. Traffic congestion is hurting us all. In the Putnam County, traffic congestion is bad and it's getting worse, and nothing is getting done about the congestion. If you go down Route 22, every election, politicians talk about widening Route 22. And they talk about widening Route 22 for a reason. If you try to go southbound on Route 22 in the morning, as soon as you hit Old Doansburg Road, it takes 45 minutes to go 1 mile. 45 minutes. Same thing over on Route 6. If you want to go from Mayapack to Carmel, right in the middle of the day, it takes about half an hour just to go from Mayapack to Carmel. That's not acceptable and it's not necessary. If you bring me into the Sheriff's Department to lead this department, I'm going to bring TrafficStat into this county, and I'm going to immediately, within about 2 weeks, cut that traffic jam, which has festered for almost 8 years. Illegal aliens. There's been enough rhetoric about illegal aliens over the last couple of years. I'm not going to add to the rhetoric, but I'll tell you this. If you hire me for this job, I'm going to put an immediate end to the preferential treatment this sheriff affords illegal aliens, and I'll give you an example. I can't tell you the number of horror stories that I've heard from people who've told me they've gotten into car accidents and that pursuant to an investigation it's determined the person who just crashed into them is an illegal alien who doesn't have a driver's license, who doesn't have identification. So what happens? The illegal alien's rewarded. Because he doesn't have a driver's license, because he doesn't have identification, he's allowed to walk away from that car accident. That's not acceptable. If I'm the sheriff, if an illegal alien has a car accident and he has no ID and he has no driver's license, he's under arrest. Case closed. The Village of Brewster. Same thing, a lot of rhetoric last couple of years about the Village of Brewster. I'm not going to add to the rhetoric, but I will tell you this. If the sheriff of Putnam County, no matter who it is, if the sheriff of Putnam County continues to do nothing about the quality of life disaster in the Village of Brewster, and let's call it what it is, a quality of life disaster. If the sheriff of Putnam County continues to do nothing about the quality of life disaster in the Village of Brewster, we're going to lose that village. And not only are we going to lose the village, but it's going to spread. We're already seeing signs of it spreading to Patterson and to parts of Mayapack, the Chamber of Commerce Park.